Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 517 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. It is so good to be with you. It's good to be with people who are working to be their best, isn't it? And that's why I love doing this podcast, because it inspires me to be the best that I can be. And it's also fun knowing that you're out there doing the same. I mean, we're not perfect at it, but we're not striving for perfection. We're striving for excellence, and that is where we're headed. Okay, so have you guys ever thought about the amount of times in a day that you ask yourself questions? Like, have you ever considered that the answers to those questions that you ask yourself are the reason you feel a certain way or maybe do a certain thing? I mean, they're as important as your thoughts in the scheme of how you feel day to day, in my opinion. Now, I was hit with this realization earlier this week. We live in the South, so we don't get a lot of snow here, but we're lucky if we get one really nice snow a year. Well, we woke up this last Friday to the most beautiful winter wonderland. It was such a treat. And I was just sitting, enjoying my coffee and enjoying the view and just being so grateful for the moment. And I thought, you know what? There's no one but me here and this beautiful view and my little fur babies. They're on my lap, keeping me warm. Nothing could ruin this moment. Then, because I'm me and I like to be curious about things, I asked, wait, could anything ruin this moment? I mean, could something ruin this moment? I mean, it's just me and all of this beauty and my puppies on my lap, no one else. But then, as it always will, my mind immediately wanted to answer the question that I gave it. So, of course, it started thinking about things that could ruin the moment. So it went to people in my life and how that person did that thing and has yet to apologize. And I was like, yep, that could ruin this moment. And then I laughed to myself because I realized that that person hasn't been around for a while. So it wouldn't be them ruining the moment, now would it? And that's when it dawned on me. And it's not just this moment, but it's pretty much most moments. Nothing can ruin this moment and a lot of the moments that I have, but me. Had I not asked that question of, is there anything that could ruin the moment? I wouldn't have started thinking about the things that could ruin the moment. Because of that one little seemingly innocent question, I started thinking about certain situations with my family, and my mind kept bringing one thing after another, and I just kept thinking, oh yeah, that could ruin it too. Until I finally just said, enough. Whoa. It reminded me that we often can and do ruin our best moments by dragging our negative thoughts about ourselves, our situation, our family, our friends, our coworkers. We drag those thoughts everywhere we go. And they're sneaky too, because most of the time we don't even notice them. They're subconscious, but they're there. I wouldn't have even thought about all of those negative things that morning if I hadn't come up with that question, could anything ruin this moment? To which my brain, of course, had to answer. And answer it did, one after another. So you see how we have to be so careful about the questions we ask ourselves, even the subtle ones. Because asking the wrong questions will have you and me and anyone else ruining any of those moments that they're living in. Over the holidays, I noticed that I asked myself a question. I remembered it when I was thinking about this topic. Why can't I just completely stop eating sugar? That was my question. Why can't I just stop eating sugar? To which my mind answered it. It said, well, grandma loves it. Mom and dad do too. I guess it's just in my genes. Now that is a terrible answer because it could leave me feeling like I have no power over my sugar addiction because it runs in the family. When realistically, I do have complete power over what I eat. It has nothing to do with what my mom eats or my grandmother used to eat. But the question that I asked myself didn't leave any room for that conclusion. So when you ask terrible questions, you get terrible answers. A better question I could have asked myself would be, how can I limit my sugar? Now those answers would give solutions and they would empower me instead of having me feel powerless, which definitely will ruin any moment. So a lot of times we have these questions that we ask ourselves, and the answers leave no room for feeling empowered because our brain has to answer the question that it's given. So when you ask the question to yourself, what's wrong with me? The brain has to answer it. And when you ask yourself, why am I never good enough? It's going to answer that one too. You see, when we ask the wrong questions, we leave ourselves no chance to feel empowered, no chance to create a better day. And we a lot of times ruin the good moments by dredging up the bad thoughts and bad answers to the questions we're giving our brain. So let's just say, for instance, you feel in love and you ask yourself, I wonder if this is going to last. Will this last, do you think? And then your brain reminds you, oh, well, it never has before, so why would this be any different? And now you've sabotaged that moment too. Instead, maybe ask, how can I bring my best self to this relationship right now? That's going to have you leaving love notes and being thoughtful and coming up with all kinds of ways to bring your best to the relationship instead of sabotaging yet another short-lived love affair, all because of a question. You see, a lot of these questions, like our thoughts, are subtle and they're sneaky. We may not be able to get rid of all of them, all those negative questions, but what we can do is be intentional about asking better questions. So for me, I have 2 questions that I ask regularly all the time. And the first one is, how is this working in my favor? And the second one is, what good can come from this? I have those in my back pocket at all times that I ask pretty regularly. I used them a lot over the last 7 months with Eric and his medical and all the things. If you've been listening to the podcast, I asked myself probably hundreds of times, what good can come from this? And how is this working in our favor? Eventually, when you ask those intentional questions, they'll become as habitual as the ones that are more subtle but negative. My challenge to you today is to come up with 1 or 2 intentional questions that you can ask yourself to get better, more intentional, empowering answers. It's such a subtle thing, but it's probably one of the best things I've done for myself in the last couple of years. You can use mine if you want. So, how is this working in my favor? And what good can come from this? Write them down, put them on your mirror, in your car, on your counter, anywhere where you'll see them regularly. And share this with 3 people that you would love to see empowered. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.